Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I know we're right at the hour, but we have a really full agenda today. Thank you so much for joining us for the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation's annual Financial Literacy Month webinar and virtual resource fair. My name is Katie Carrasco, and I'm a Northern California Targeted Outreach Specialist. Slide, please. Just a couple quick housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone will be muted during today's presentation, but if you have general questions for the DFPI, feel free to put them into the chat, and we'll try to get to those, at least share some links with you. Or you can email any of the presenters and we'll give you their information a little bit later. Or you can email to outreach@dfpi.ca.gov and we'll make sure that it gets to the right place. Also, the slides will be emailed to you after the event, as well as a link to the recording of this presentation on our YouTube channel, and we can add that to the chat for you as well. And I want to remind you that if there are additional questions, there are resources on the event website from our fantastic group of partners and exhibitors. So please go visit the exhibitor descriptions after the webinar, and we'll add that website to the chat as well. Slide, please. Here's a quick agenda. As you can see, we have an excellent group of people and organizations contributing to today's event. So let's get moving so we have enough time to hear from everybody. Slide, please, Coop. Just really quick about us. The Department of Financial Protection and Innovation is California's financial services regulator. We license and oversee hundreds of thousands of financial professionals and products. We conduct audits to make sure that they are in compliance with all state lender laws, as well as provide financial education and fraud prevention presentations throughout the state. Please visit our website for more information. We'll put that in the chat. Also, make sure to stay up to date with us by subscribing to our newsletter, The Consumer Connection, and we will add that as well. Slide, please. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First up, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Community Affairs Specialist with the FDIC, Luke Reynolds.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Next slide, please. The FDIC's Money Smart program is about 22 years old, but it's been regularly updated. And why do I mention that? Well, we have 22 years of user feedback, input, trainer ideas, and other research that goes into the program to make it the best financial education curriculum that we're able to offer. We have materials that you can use to teach others, and we have materials that you can use to learn on your own. The materials to teach others can be used from kindergartners all the way up to older adults, as well as small businesses. So we have curriculum that teachers can use, lesson plans that teachers can use in the classroom. We have a curriculum that bankers and others can teach to young people outside the classroom. We have materials for adults. We have materials for older adults that focus on elder financial exploitation. And then joint with the Small Business Administration, we have a small business curriculum to introduce people to the idea of owning entrepreneurship and help small businesses with a wide range of variables that they need to be as successful as possible. How Money Smart Are You is our relatively new online learning game. It's been incredibly well received. You can earn a certificate of completion for going through the games if that's something that you need for the program you're managing or participating in. And then we have podcasts. Next slide, please. So what do we do? So our role is to, I think we need to go back a slide, or back one more slide. What do? We distribute the financial education curriculum Money Smart for free. It's downloadable off our website, and the online game you can just play on our website. Every quarter, we conduct a train-the-trainer to help orient people to the curriculum. Sometimes we're able to connect banks with community groups to teach and receive financial education. We can't guarantee we can be a matchmaker, but if you're a banker or you're a banker looking to teach, or you're a community group looking to have a banker teach, please reach out to us and we'll see what we can do. And then we regularly highlight promising ways the curriculum is used. Just to clarify, we do not go out and teach Money Smart to people. We're in a large way wholesalers in that we provide training to those who are in a position to engage people on the ground. Next slide. And again, for the young adult audience, I see a question. I'll just note that How Money Smart Are You? The online learning game is useful for high school students. It was written it's based on our adult curriculum, but we've heard and seen it being used by high school students as well. The online learning game space for so a specific game for young adults, that's something that we're constantly considering. I'm not sure when or if we'll be able to release one, but we do hear that there's a need for something for younger kids. And I'll just note our partner, the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, has a couple online learning games for younger children. Again, you can just go to the NCUA website. You'll find those learning games for younger kids. We encourage anyone who's using Money Smart to join our Alliance program. It's free to join. By joining, you're able to learn from others that use the curriculum. It's easier to get in touch with us if you have a question or need some ideas. You can apply for free online. Next slide, please. So our website where you can go to learn more is fdic.gov/MoneySmart, or you can just go to the fdic.gov site and type in Money Smart in the search box. From there, you can download the materials, you can learn more, you can reach out to us, you can watch train-the-trainer videos. And with that, I want to go to the next slide and thank everyone for participating. I'll turn the program back over to Katie.
Thank you so much, Luke. Now I'd like to introduce Eric Johnson. He is the Marketing and Communications Specialist from the California Housing Finance Agency. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Looks like we had our week and a half of spring here in Sacramento, since it's going to be 90 degrees today. So bring on the summer. We are an agency of the state of California, and we help people purchase their first homes. We have a couple of down payment assistance programs and also closing cost assistance. Those terms may be confusing or a little challenging. We also have a great home buyer education course that is mandatory for everybody who uses our programs. Our programs offer up to 3.5% in a down payment loan to help you get the purchase price of your home lower, which then means that your monthly payments are lower. We use a network of approved lenders where we've gone through all their finances. We know that they're legit folks. We also have a group of preferred loan officers, people who have done at least 6 of our loans in the past 6 months. So they're very familiar with the challenges of working with first-time home buyers, credit scores, employment, salaries, debt, all that sort of thing. So I really recommend that you work with one of our preferred loan officers to get things done. I think a lot of the news that we see in California right now is it's impossible to buy a home. And I just want to let you know that's not true. We've had more than 2,500 people lock loans with us in the past month for one of our programs. And I just really would encourage you to take the step, at least make a couple calls, call a couple loan officers, talk to a realtor, make sure you have a good team of people. We also administer a couple other programs that are really important. One of them is the National Mortgage Settlement Counseling Service. And what that does is that enables free housing counseling if you're having trouble with your rent, trouble with your existing mortgage, worried about foreclosure, if you've got a reverse mortgage, or if you're looking to get a little more advice on how to go about buying your first home, then you can just hop on our website and find a housing counselor who can help you go through your finances, get your debts taken care of, make sure that everything is squared away. And last, but certainly not least, we administer the Mortgage Relief Program, which is a program that started off with the federal government, that anybody who, if you're behind on your mortgage payments, you can get up to $80,000 that That's 8 followed by 4 zeros, $80,000 to help you bring your mortgage back current. That also can help you with your property taxes and a couple other items that may be bringing you down. You're worried about losing your home to a foreclosure or short sale or something like that. You can hop on mortgagereliefca.com and get help with that. So we do a whole bunch of different things, and all of them are to help the consumer, specifically with regard to housing. I'd recommend stopping by our website at calhfa.ca.gov. También tenemos nuestros servicios en español, so you can get help there. We really want to make sure that you have a good experience. Housing is really confusing, can be really challenging, but we have a lot of resources for you, whether you want to buy your first home, whether you're concerned about your current housing situation, or whether you need some assistance with your mortgage. Please check us out, calhfa.ca.gov. With that, I'm going to kick it back to Katie. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Eric. Next up, we will hear from Outreach Specialist Carolina Hernandez on the fantastic state program CalSavers, headed by the Treasurer's Office. Thank you for joining us, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Katie. Hello, good morning, everyone. I am Carolina Hernandez. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the CalSavers program. Today, I'm going to give you a really brief overview on CalSavers, California's retirement savings program, which was created for the millions of Californians who do not have a way to save for retirement at their workplace. I'll be touching on the state's retirement mandate and how California is working to address the retirement savings access gap. Next slide, please. I'd like to start off with some statistics of the financial landscape of California. These were some of the figures that the legislature had in mind when they passed the bill that created the CalSavers program. So currently, nearly half of Californians are projected to retire into economic hardship, and that's if we can retire at all. We believe that a key driver of that fact is that when this study was conducted and before the launch of the CalSavers program, there were about 7.5 million Californians who did not have a way to save for retirement at their workplace. And we know that that particular fact there is important because research also shows that when we have access to a payroll deduction retirement plan, we are 15 times more likely to be saving and be on a path towards retirement security. And that increases to 20 times more likely when that program features automatic enrollment. Next slide, please. So knowing that the best way to get people saving and on a path towards retirement security is through the workplace, the California legislature created a new employer mandate for businesses who do not offer their employees a retirement savings option at their workplace. So as of the beginning of this year, as of 2023, that mandate states that California businesses with an average of at least one employee who's age 18 or older and is not the owner of the business must register for CalSavers and facilitate their employees' access to the program. Now, before this year, that mandate covered businesses who average at least 5 employees, but Assembly Bill 1126 went into effect at the beginning of the year, and it further expanded eligibility. So to determine eligibility, we received business information from EDD. They provide us with a number of employees that are reported to them for a full calendar year. We averaged those numbers from January to December to determine business eligibility. For participant eligibility, we made it really simple. All individuals who are 18 years or older, have earned income, and have either a social security number or an ITIN are all welcome to join CalSavers. It was really important to give access to those ITIN holders to further bridge that access gap, just knowing how diverse California's workforce is, and knowing that these folks have been excluded from participating in some of these financial products. Next slide, please. I'm going to touch on eligibility and deadlines just a little bit more here. Every spring, we get fresh data from EDD. We recently received information from them, which tells us how many employees a business reported for the previous calendar year. And we use that to calculate averages for eligibility. If we determine that a business is eligible, then we begin sending notices, letting the business know that they need to register. Business who are identified as averaging at least 5 employees or more will have until the end of the calendar year to register. So their deadline will be December 31st of the year that they're notified of their eligibility. Recent changes in legislation expanded the mandate to include businesses who averaged 1 to 4 employees as well. Those businesses are going to have a little bit more time to register, though. They're going to have a registration deadline of December 31st, 2025. So if you're working for one of these businesses, keep an eye out. You might be getting a welcome packet from CalSavers if they register for the program. If you're maybe planning on starting a business or you already have one and you might meet this criteria, then keep an eye out for your registration letter as well. I also like to mention that CalSavers is open for individual registrations. So if you work for a non-mandated employer or you're a contractor or just self-employed, you can join anytime by visiting the CalSavers website or registering from the CalSavers app as well. Next slide, please. Finally, I'll go over some of the key features that we had in mind when we were creating the program. When the legislation passed in 2016, one of the very first things that we did was to engage a group of stakeholders that represented both the employer community as well as the interests of the consumers. We wanted to know what obstacles from the existing plans on the market were making it difficult for businesses to offer retirement savings to their employees. And there were three particular hurdles that were reported: the administrative burden, the fees, and the fiduciary liability. So CalSavers was designed to address all three of those issues. We designed the program to be as easy as possible to facilitate. There are no program fees for employers. And because employers are not sponsoring the program, they have no fiduciary liability. When designing the features for the participants, we wanted to make it simple. They are automatically enrolled at work. We have standard settings, or they can customize their accounts. The accounts are portable. They go with them from job to job. So if they leave their company and go work for another employer, they can save into that same CalSavers account. They can also connect it to their bank account for additional savings. And they pay a small fee to participate, which covers the administrative cost of CalSavers. Next slide, please. Here are going to be some of the contact information for CalSavers. We have a really robust website with some great downloadable information that you can share. We host regular educational webinars for both participants as well as business owners. You're all welcome to register if you want to learn a little bit more about CalSavers. We also have a wonderful call center with lines dedicated to both employees and employers. We have representatives who speak English and Spanish, as well as access to a translation service for any additional needs. And I also have a fantastic on-site support team. We have representatives that are based throughout California who work hand in hand with participants and employers as well. Next slide, please. So thank you very much for your time. Do feel free to connect with me if you have any questions. I'm going to be popping my email into that chat box. And I'll hand it back to you, Katie.
Great. Thank you so much, Carolina. That was great. Now we'll toss it over to Outreach Specialist Diana Sanchez from the California ScholarShare program.
Hi, Katie. Thank you. Yes, my name is Diana Sanchez, and I'm an outreach specialist with the ScholarShare Investment Board of the California State Treasurer's Office. So I'm going to briefly talk about the ScholarShare 529 program and briefly about the CalKIDS program as well. Next slide. So about ScholarShare. ScholarShare 529 is California's official college savings plan. We've been in the business for over 20 years, helping families save with over $12 billion in assets. The plan is overseen by the ScholarShare Investment Board, which is chaired by the California State Treasurer's Office. Next slide, please. So what is a 529 plan? Well, it's a savings account that you invest in specifically for higher education expenses. Any earnings, excuse me, any earnings are tax deferred as long as the funds are used to pay for higher education expenses. So when you get ready to use the funds, you don't pay any taxes. Now, the contributions, they are after tax. The funds can be used at any accredited institution in the nation that accepts federal financial aid for educational expenses like books, tuition, room and board, and computers. And to open an account, you need to be a U.S. citizen or resident and be at least 18 years of age with a valid Social Security number or taxpayer ID number. Next slide, please. So how are your savings invested? So we have various options to choose from. With ScholarShare, you don't need to be a savvy investor. It's about choosing the right investment or portfolio that's right for you. It's about picking the options that best suit your needs, and investments can be changed twice a year. So with the guaranteed investment portfolio, this is a guaranteed fund where there is low risk involved and offers a stable rate of return. So for those who are not comfortable with like investments or new to investing, this could be a good plan to start while you do some more research on some of the other investment portfolios. We also have custom built portfolios where you can customize your own strategy with our single and multi-fund portfolios. And then we have our most popular one, which is our enrollment year portfolio. This option is based on the year the beneficiary expects to enroll and not based on their age. So if they decide to take a gap year or maybe have a scholarship they want to use first, this gives them time to grow the investments. This option automatically shifts from aggressive to conservative investments as you near that enrollment date. So there's no need to manually rebalance your portfolio as it does it automatically for you. Next slide, please. So to open an account, it's easy. You go online, ScholarShare529.com. You can click on the orange little box that says open an account, and it will walk you through step by step. You will need to select your beneficiary. So make sure you have the beneficiary's social security number and date of birth. Decide how much you want to open an account. You can open an account with as little as $1. And then choose your investment portfolio. Have that ready ahead of time. Know which one you want to enroll in. And then funding your account, whether you want to set up automatic recurring contributions from your bank account. Excuse me, you'll want to get your bank account information ready. Excuse me. Or whether you want to do payroll deductions, there's forms on there you can print out. We have many resources available for you on our scholarship website, ScholarShare529.com. There's how-to videos, webinars twice a month that you can sign up for. Or if you prefer to speak to a licensed representative, there's a link on the website as well that you can click on there and make an appointment directly with our representatives. Now, I don't have any slides for these, I apologize, but I also briefly want to talk to you about a new program that we recently launched. It's called the CalKIDS program. So CalKIDS is a program that helps children in California get access to higher education, especially those from traditionally underserved communities. Enrollment in the CalKIDS is automatic, but you would need to register online to get access to the account, to view the balance, make any changes, and just check on the account. So there are two groups available for this program. So there are newborns, eligible beneficiaries born on July 1st, 2022 or after, which are identified by the California Department of Public Health. No financial commitment is required for families to participate. The second group is California public school students identified as low income as defined by the local control funding formula, enrolled in grades 1st through 12th during the 2021 and 2022 academic year, and then beginning in fall of 2022, all incoming low income school first graders will also automatically be enrolled. So the best thing to do is to see if your child is eligible is go on the CalKIDS website, which is calkids.org, and it will walk you through the eligibility process. Next slide. Thank you. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or email me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was great. And thank you to all of our partners for that great information and resources. Now I'm so excited to introduce DFPI's Commissioner Chloe Hewlett with an insight of the importance of financial education and building generational wealth. Commissioner, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be joining you today for this Financial Literacy Resources Fair. My name is Clotilde Hewlett, otherwise known as Chloe, And it is a privilege to serve as Commissioner of the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. At the DFPI, I led a team of extraordinary public servants working to protect consumers and strengthen our state's financial industry. Since my appointment in 2021, it has been one of my top priorities to transform the DFPI to be more efficient, open, and transparent, as well as consumer service oriented. The DFPI is focused on improving consumer protection and financial services and promoting financial literacy. We see financial literacy as a critical stepping stone to financial independence, stability, and empowerment. So we are here today to spread the word about the ways Californians can access the financial products and services they need for success. Financial literacy gives consumers the knowledge, skills, and confidence to understand the information they receive and evaluate the risk and rewards of each type of financial service. And financial literacy also helps ensure that consumers avoid unfair and deceptive practices, have access to resources to resolve disputes when transactions go wrong, and are able to maintain privacy of their personal information. Now, I grew up in poverty, which explains one of the reasons why I am so passionate about this issue and why I believe that financial empowerment is a social justice issue. I'm proud of the work the DFPI is doing, particularly with its targeted outreach team who travel all across the state, making presentations and distributing educational resources, often to our most vulnerable and underserved communities. I have strived at every step of my career to promote equity and inclusion. And I'm concerned, I am very concerned, like so many other people are as well, the gap between those who have and those who have not has widened. I believe that access, innovation, and strong consumer protections can improve the economic and financial realities of those who need it most, which is why this year we are focusing on wealth building with an emphasis on building generational wealth. Generational wealth is important because it has the potential to change the entire trajectory of so many lives, especially in our low income and underserved populations. And if one just changes one life and one family, they can change their local community, the state, and the nation. At DFPI, we are committed to providing the information and the resources families need to build generational wealth for themselves and for future generations, building a more sustainable and resilient economy for all Californians. I really would love to thank the speakers and panelists for providing such valuable resources. Your partnership and support are sincerely appreciated. I also want to thank everyone for joining us today. I encourage you to take advantage of what this event has to offer and arm yourself with the power of knowledge to change the dynamics that are in this country today that are widening this gap. To use the information that you will receive today to further the mission of economic development for those who are suffering and need it most. And for our partners participating today, I encourage you to contact us to see how we can work together to maximize our efforts so that building wealth and financial stability can be achievable for all Californians. Now I'd like to turn back over to Katie to continue today's program. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you today.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. That was truly inspiring. Now we're going to mix it up a little bit and invite Senior Deputy Commissioner of our Consumer Financial Protection Division, Suzanne Martindale, who will be moderating a panel discussion on building wealth with a group of experts. And I'll let Suzanne introduce her guests.
Great. Thank you, Katie. And good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here. I hope that you were inspired by our commissioner's passion related to this topic around creating intergenerational wealth. It is one of our department-wide priorities. And we have a wonderful team here at DFPI that really cares and is committed to the mission of fostering consumer protection and responsible innovation where possible, so that people really are getting the services that they need to build the wealth. But now let's break it down and talk about it a little more practical. I think that's what we want to do with this discussion. So we have three wonderful panelists here today who are going to share their knowledge, expertise, and experience with you about this topic. So we will be joined by Donisha Smith, who is the chief of the Center for Financial Empowerment, which is housed within LA County's Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. We are also joined today by Landon Tomachko, who is a financial advisor, a certified financial planner at the Financial Planning Association. And then finally, Nalisha Anderson, who is a financial empowerment advocate with the Family Assistance Program, which notably is one of our Cal Money Smart grantees. And I hope that she'll be able to talk a little bit about that as well. So to kick off the discussion, I'm going to ask each of our panelists to answer this kind of foundational question around building wealth, because so many people here in the state, as well as around the country, are living paycheck to paycheck, right? That is the unfortunate reality in today's economy. As the commissioner mentioned, it seems like the haves and the have-nots there's a widening gap between the two. So could each of you speak to this? And maybe I'll start with Donisha. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you feel like it's just a daunting task to consider saving, thinking about building savings or maybe buying a home someday, thinking about building wealth, how do you get started? Just how do you get started? What's the mindset that you need to have in order to begin to take on that path toward building generational wealth?
Thank you for the question, Suzanne, and thank you again for the opportunity to participate in the discussion today. Suzanne, as you alluded to, this is very common. Research shows that roughly 60% of US households live paycheck to paycheck. So it's a very common issue. And so first I would say you're not alone. Don't beat yourself up. There's hope. Don't be discouraged. You can do it. Start small, make small incremental changes that can lead to long-term savings and long-term success. So I know most of us don't like the word budget, right? It feels punitive, it feels restrictive, but that's a good place to start. Start writing down your expenses versus your cash flow and start making notes of where are you spending your money? Are there spending leaks? Are there opportunities to cut back in certain areas and save that money and divert it to a savings account? So again, don't be discouraged. Start small and make incremental changes. I could say a lot more, but I want to be respectful to my panelists. So Landon and Alicia, feel free to jump in.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alicia.
Sorry, Landon. I just want to piggyback off of what you said, Donisha. It starts by just starting. And this is what I teach our participants with who I work with. I teach them how to budget. For the people that might bank with Wells Fargo, there is a section on there that shows you how much you overspend in each category, whether it be utilities, dining out, and then that color will be either red or orange. So I also teach them, in addition to budgeting, I show them how to use a budget binder. So I set up a budget for them and we go in detail. So we do what you're going to take out for your bills, what you're going to put for miscellaneous, what you're going to put in savings, because the whole thing about it is if you don't know how to manage a little, you won't be able to manage a lot. So that's the mindset that I try to get our participants in. You have to start somewhere. And I always use myself as an example. I recently started budgeting in December, and it has taught me to not live paycheck to paycheck. It has taught me in the areas that I overspend and different ways to save money. Because when you have certain emergencies, if you're not budgeting and putting money aside, how do you expect to have the money for those said emergencies?
I would completely echo everything that you both just said. Starting small is certainly a critical thing, but I will also say that wealth building is also, in many respects, a mentality of, you know, I can build wealth. No matter a person's circumstances, you can build wealth, because this is a marathon. Wealth building is a marathon, is a lifelong marathon, and not just something that you're going to start and eventually get to. So that said, there are some basic principles that you both kind of echoed on in terms of wealth creation, and kind of three fundamentals. One is obviously don't spend more than you make, right? Wherever your income comes from, whether that's from work or otherwise, not spending more than you make, saving regularly, and also protecting what you have. So I often, like to use visuals, and that oftentimes people have had this. I can explain that the idea of the squirrel with the nest egg of acorns that they've saved up for the winter. Well, those acorns didn't get there all at once. It took that squirrel going out and finding those acorns and stuffing them away so that they knew that they had them when they needed them. And so wealth building is really the same thing. Over time, you have to kind of adhere to those principles and really protect that wealth. So we all have things that come up in our lives that eventually, whether it's, the roof leaking with the storms this year, or some other kind of a personal crisis, we all have those things come up and we understand them. So it's this mentality of thinking, I'm going to get through those challenges, but I'm still going to protect my future by continuing to put away. And whether you start with $5 out of your paycheck and grow that over time, it's more a matter of just the getting started and getting the habit going than it is a matter of how much you're doing. So I'll pass it back to you, Suzanne.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's wonderful to highlight that so much of this really is about, I guess with so many things in life, sometimes your mindset really sets the baseline for what is possible. And so we need to think beyond maybe our worst assumptions about what's possible. Of course, the reality though, I think we do need to talk though about these structural barriers that some people really have faced toward building wealth. So I don't know, maybe I'll make this a jump ball, but does anyone want to speak to the ways in which, historically, because I mean, we need to name it because it's real and and people are legitimately feeling like this is tough because for many folks, they've experienced certain structural barriers based on race, gender, national origin, and other demographic characteristics. So I don't know if any of you want to speak to, sort of some of the trends that you've seen and can speak to that topic as well about how that impacts the ability to build generational wealth.
We'll tell you what, as the single white old guy on the call, let me take this jump ball and I'll pass it to the rest of you. So obviously, historically, most of the wealth and the financial advising and has centered in the folks that look like me. Okay. That being said, I can say as a member of the Financial Planning Association, which covers financial people that provide financial advice nationally, that those dynamics are changing. In fact, this last year, the CFP, the Certified Financial Planner designation, had its most diverse set of candidates passing that ever. So that means that if you are looking for somebody that doesn't look like me, that looks like other people on this panel or other people throughout our state in those underserved communities, there are people out there that can help you and have shared experiences similar to you that can help you to grow that wealth and achieve your financial goals.
I think in the underserved communities, I think they feel a little bit discouraged. I feel that they're not that educated on the importance of your financial well-being. A lot of people do not have bank accounts. They don't trust banks. They don't have credit. They say, okay, well, what do I need credit for? I have money. But it's more than just that, because credit is king. So I think if it was more education brought to the underserved community in regards to financial literacy, I think that they would be more receptive to it, and we would make a little better headway for that.
And if I could add, Suzanne, just going back to your original point of naming it, let's call it what it is, right? Structural racism, institutional racism. Unfortunately, there have been policies in our country that were designed for communities of color to not succeed or to face many hurdles in order to succeed. And when we think about generating wealth in this country, most times that is tied to home ownership, right? And so I'm sure we've all heard of redlining. There was a period in our country for about 40 years where lenders and the Federal Housing Administration was very strategic in who they approved for mortgage loans and strategic in keeping certain areas of a certain race and keeping others out. And I think that has been one of the main drivers of the racial wealth gap that we see today.
Absolutely. It's an excellent point, and it actually segues into something else that I'm thinking about as well, because home ownership is, core to the American dream. And for so many people, if they don't already come from wealth such that, they can get family assistance and with that down payment or what have you, sometimes the alternative path that is sold is, well, okay, maybe you don't already have wealth, but also in this country, education, right, is the path toward being able to build wealth, because once you get more education, you'll be better able to get a great job, and then you'll be able to save that money and you'll be able to get that house. But of course, what have we done over the past 60 years? We have pulled away public funding from higher education and shifted it into student loans, right? And so now we have all these people that, if they're even trying to get education after high school, almost all of them are going to have to get a student loan in order to be able to afford a vocational program, a bachelor's degree, et cetera. Now, I think people don't want to think about it because they've been on pause for the last 3 years, but federal student loans are sitting out there. After mortgage debt, that's the second highest portfolio of consumer debt in the country. And so here at DFPI, among all of the many things that we're doing to educate people about their finances, we have been upping our outreach efforts, particularly to Californians with student loans, to prepare for the fact that sometime later this year, there is a very good chance that we're going to resume repayment of federal student loans. And that's going to hit a lot of people really hard who haven't had that bill to pay since March of 2020. So that segues into what I want to talk about next, which is what resources are out there that could be governmental or non-governmental for people to start preparing as we're exiting the emergency phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, and many protections are going to start to end, right? Eviction moratoria are going to start to end. What resources are out there that haven't already been discussed today that we can point to people that they should really take advantage of before things might start to get tougher as many COVID era relief efforts are ending?
I know with our program, we assist victims and survivors of any recent domestic violence, human trafficking, homeless youth. And with our domestic violence program, we offer a program with HUD, a rapid rehousing that will assist them in getting back on their feet. So once they come into our program, They'll take my class and we'll learn fundamentals of how to get back on your feet, budgeting, saving, working on your credit. If you need to build your credit, we're going to start you with secured cards so that you can learn how to be responsible. If you need to repair your credit, we're going to write those letters and, assist you in trying to get that removed. There's also utility assistance out there. I know HEAP helps a lot of people. They also do water assistance as well now. So, a lot of people will be able to get that kind of help.
One thing that I want to stress is that in making financial decisions, it's important to make sure that the decision, whether it's to purchase a house or to go to college or pursue some other financial objective, is to make sure that you're planning for it properly. So it makes no sense to go full forward to try to purchase a house when you're not financially prepared to do it. In fact, that can almost end up worse if you end up having to get foreclosed on because it wasn't done properly. So it's important to work through those goals and know when is the right time and when is not the right time. I will also say avoiding those predators out there that are looking to trip you up. And so obviously racking up credit card debt, using payday lending excessively, those are areas that it just draws resources away from those person. I understand sometimes those things are necessary, but trying to minimize the use of those things and build that wealth so that when you are ready to purchase that house, you can do it confidently, knowing that you're going to stay in that house and you're going to build that wealth over time.
Yes, and if I could add to the wonderful things you all have shared already, I guess I would lift up Free Tax Prep LA and just the importance of refundable tax credits, period, right? So sometimes the resources that are available are right under our nose and we may not realize it, right? So when I first came into this role about 6 years ago, I was astonished at the amount of earned income tax credit dollars that goes unclaimed in Los Angeles County every year. I think at the time it was about $580 million. So just a friendly reminder to make sure you're leveraging the tax season to maximize your income tax return and claim all of the credits you qualify for. The County of Los Angeles works very closely with the City of Los Angeles, Koreatown Youth and Community Center, and other nonprofits on an initiative we call Free Tax Prep LA. Our website address is freetaxprepla.org, and we provide free volunteer income tax assistance services to LA County residents who earn $60,000 or less. So please take advantage of that. As you probably have heard, the tax filing deadline has been extended. Our VITA sites are still open and available, and we can also help with I-10 application assistance as well. And then Suzanne, if I may, the other thing I would lift up, we touched briefly on homeownership as a path to generating wealth. I also just want to lift up entrepreneurship as another potential path for communities of color to build wealth. But as with most things, there are barriers there too, especially in terms of access to capital. So the County of Los Angeles has a department that's relatively new called the Department of Economic Opportunity, or DEO, and that department is dedicated to supporting local entrepreneurs. They have a concierge program that can provide one-on-one technical assistance and support. They can help you start, grow your business. They can connect you to funding resources. So another great department and resource to take advantage of if you are here in LA County.
That's great. So there's one final question for the group. I think you've already all touched on the myriad options that are out there, and a lot of it comes in the form of partnerships, public-private partnerships to offer resources. This is a challenge that, Danisha and I can both speak to, as I'm sure, in our respective lanes being in government. We understand that some people don't really trust the government when it comes to direct resources and information. Here at DFPI, we are trying to make our direct content more accessible and user-friendly to people, but we understand that not everyone wants to email us or file a complaint, directly with us. So do any of you have any parting thoughts on sort of best practices for how government agencies can show up to help promote intergenerational wealth building?
Personally, I would love government agencies to fund more of the initiatives that we've discussed today, right? Children's savings accounts go a long way at promoting a college-going culture among youth. Having consumer protection agencies like DCPA and DFPI that are fighting against consumer fraud, scams, and other forms of wealth stripping, right, from communities of color. As we alluded to earlier, strategies to address student loan debt, which we know disproportionately impacts Black students, and funding down payment assistance programs. Those are some of the few thoughts that come to mind in terms of what the government can do to support more intergenerational wealth. And then to your point, partnerships with community-based organizations are absolutely essential to our success. Community-based organizations are trusted messengers. They know community. They have wonderful relationships with the people they serve. And so government, particularly local government, should always be working hand in hand with the CBOs in their community.
Yeah, I agree. I think that government agencies, whether that's at the state or local level, their job is to open the doors to the available resources, whether those come from the government or come from the local community. I will say, if you are looking to work with a financial planner to help your goals, there is a vast array of pro bono resources out there. And if you just put in a search for pro bono financial planning, you should be able to find some. And I think they're going to provide some of the links and resources available as well. But really, it's government agencies have a role to open the doors and provide those resources to connect people. The comment about the unbanked it's tragic, because so much of the wealth building comes from having the connections to those institutions, those financial institutions. And it's tragic that there is such a suspicion of banks and financial institutions, but it's not surprising because of how many people end up getting ripped off. So a couple of things I would say: if you are looking to work with somebody, make sure that you are working with somebody that is acting in your best interest. Okay, you know how they're getting compensated. That should be a candid conversation. You know what they're going to provide to you and when they're going to do it and how much it's going to cost you. Okay, because anybody that's not able or willing to provide that, you need to be suspicious about, because they're probably not acting or providing you advice in your best interest.
As we sometimes say, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And there's no quick fix to doing this, but the only way out is through going down the path toward building intergenerational wealth. But I do hope that this wonderful panel has shown that there are resources out there and you are not alone. And as I think it was Nelisha who said it, the way to get started is to get started. And that's but once you do that, you're well on your way. And there are people in government and in community-based organizations out there who are here to help. And with that, I want to thank our wonderful panel. This was a great discussion, and I will turn it back over to Katie.
Thank you so much. That was really, really informative. There's a lot to unpack there. Here is the contact information for our panelists. Feel free to contact them after the event. Remember, these will be emailed to you, so don't feel like you have to jot everything down right now. You will have a chance to receive them. But thank you so much, Suzanne, and thank you to our panelists, and thank you to everyone who participated in today's webinar. Could we switch to the next slide, please? Thank you. And remember, there's more information and resources at our financial literacy resource webinar webpage. Sally, please. Oh, there we go. It's in the chat for you. There's so many great resources there. Please go. Again, please subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about new events and initiatives from the DFPI. And then also, I wanted to let you know that our next webinar will be May 24th in honor of Military Appreciation Month. And that will be resources for service members as well as veterans. And there's registration information right there. And also our social media handles. Please give us a follow if you can. If you have any questions about anything mentioned in today's webinar, please don't hesitate to email any of the presenters directly, or you can email us at outreach@dfpi.ca.gov. There we go. Thank you. We'll make sure that your questions all get to the right place. And thank you one last time for attending. We hope that you stay safe physically and financially. Bye, everyone.